Hello and welcome. We were in serious need of an upgrade to our outdoor barbecue setup. Specifically, we needed additional counter space for prep as well as to hold all the barbecue items, condiments, utensils, etc. To accomplish this, we decided to make a cedar-based barbecue cart. For the overall design, we used a similar structure as what I used on the outdoor planter in a previous video with some modifications. As I have gone through the execution of this design a few times, I was able to streamline the build a bit. More on this later. In addition, I added some large casters as well as handle to make it more functional. Let's take a look. I'm using 1x4 cedar pieces that I picked up from the local lumber yard. I'm going to start off by making the leg pieces. The cart itself is going to be 36 inches tall, and the casters take up 2 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to make the leg pieces 33 1/4 inch tall. I've set up a stop block so I can get consistent cuts off of the miter saw. To make life a little easier, I'm going to sand these pieces before I join them together using pocket holes. It's going to be a 90-degree angle that these make, and I'm going to secure those with the correct pocket hole screws. To make the sides of the cart, I used the 1x4s left over from the leg pieces and cut it 14.5 in length, 2 pieces 14.5 length, and then 2 more pieces which I ripped in half for the middle shelf and the bottom shelf. And using 1 1/4 inch screws, I screwed those and glued those to the sides to make the 2 sides. Up next are the front and back pieces. Once again, I'm using the 1x4s cross cut to 34.5 inches for the top and the same ripped in half for the middle and bottom shelf. The top support pieces also got pocket holes so that we can use screws to secure the cart top. We are now ready to make the top of the cart. This is made by joining together 3 pieces of 1x6 cedar boards. I have cut them a little long so that I can trim to exact dimensions later. To help line up the boards, we'll be using a Milescraft doweling jig and a 3/8 inch dowel as well as some glue. To get the countertop nice and smooth, I started with 60 grit sandpaper and worked all the way up to 320 grit. From there, I trimmed up both edges on the table saw to final dimension and used a trim router to add a round over on the top and bottom. make the top and bottom shelves of the cart, I used the 1x4 cedar boards and cross-cut those to approximately 14.5 inches with the help of a stop block. In total, there are 18 pieces needed for both shelves, with a 3/8 inch gap in between each plank. Once I had all the pieces cut to size, I put a round over on both sides as well as sanded all the pieces top and bottom with 60 and 120 grit sandpaper. And for the top, I also went all the way up to 220 grit. Sanding and finishing these pieces before assembly makes it much easier than trying to do it after. For a finish, I went with an oil-based Spar Urethane from Fabricating in a semi-gloss finish, which I have used on my previous outdoor planter box build. The finish has been holding up great so far, and you can find a detailed video on how to make the planter on my channel. I applied 3 coats of the Spar Urethane to all components and applied 5 coats to the countertop and top portions of the shelves to give it some extra protection, since these are the pieces that will be exposed to the elements the most. Before applying the final coat, I gave a light sanding to get rid of some of the bumps and imperfections. As mentioned before, doing the finishing before final assembly made life a lot easier compared to the previous projects that I did. I opted to go with pocket screws to secure the boards that make up the 2 shelves. Using the Craig pocket hole jig, I pre-drilled the holes and secured each piece using 1¼ inch exterior screws. To help space the boards evenly, I used a 3/8 inch dowel. Using the pocket joinery gave the shelves a nice clean look. To finish off the cart, I attached the countertop using pocket holes, followed by adding casters. I went with the heavy-duty 3-inch casters since the cart will need to move across a brick patio. I will leave the link to this in the comment along with other components used for the build. On one side of the cart, I also added a handle made up of galvanized piping. This can be picked up at any local home center. As a final touch, I also added a bottle opener to the front.